Welcome back, Game with King family, to another F1 Clash video. And today we have a special video for you guys. We have our GP setup video. So today we're going to be breaking down what we test and what we found to work the best in terms of the best setup in F1 Clash for 2023 season. The season, we still have a few more months in the season until the new 2024 season starts in May. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys now the best setup that we found in the entire game right now in F1 Clash, so you guys can take advantage of it. It works at every single level, whatever level you are, whatever parts level you have. This setup will work for you as it's the best setup in the game. All right, so before we jump into the setup, we're going to be jumping into a duel race here. And just so at the end of the race we can dive into the setup. It doesn't matter what kind of match you get, if you're outmatched, if you're undermatched, it doesn't matter the kind of team score match you're going to get. If your rival could have a higher team score, could have a lower team score, could have an even team score. This setup doesn't really care much about team score. It doesn't really matter too much on the strategy you use. You could use the regular strategies that you normally use, but strategies does count when it comes to like GP races, because you're going to be going up against the AIs at that point, the entire pack. So your strategy does count in the GP races. In duels, strategy doesn't really count. Just use your best strategy that you normally use. Now with this setup, the best tire compound to use with this setup is going to be the soft tires and the medium tires. If you can stay away from the hard tires as much as possible running this setup, then it will be better off for you. But the medium and the soft tires are the best, especially the soft tires. This setup comes alive on the soft tires 100%. All right, so this is not a GP race, but this setup is the best setup we found so far for not maxed out players. If you're maxed out, and you have high level maxed out parts, then this setup is not for you, as you have already maxed out. So you'll be scoring perfect. So your aim is to score the fastest lap in the GP events. This setup is not for the fastest lap. So if you're maxed out, if you have a maxed out account, this setup is not for you. This setup is for players with non-max account, like myself, that doesn't have any max out assets. Then this setup works for us the best. All right, so it can bring you the wins if you're maxed out, but automatically you're going to get the wins from your maxed out. So the only thing you need to focus on is the fastest lap, and this setup is not the setup for the fastest lap. All right, so this setup is just a setup to give players that are not maxed out a better opportunity of winning. All right, now with this setup, you'll see one thing. You'll see your cars overtaking rivals without boosting, as long as they're on the softer or the lower compound of tires, and you are on the better compound. You have a high chance of overtaking them naturally without boosting. So with the fact that you can overtake without boosting, and you could keep your positions once they have been gained with this setup, makes it very amazing for non-maxed out players. All right, so as you can see, we basically won this race fairly easy. This wasn't really a big competition. I just wanted to put a race in there as I speak, so we can take a look at the setup after the race is done, and basically explain or test this. All right, so a few weeks ago we started to run a few tests based off of just a theory I had that Hutch had changed some things in the background of the game. Based off of certain tracks, you get a certain results. on a certain tracks, and another set of tracks you get a different kind of results. So it leaded me to believe that Hutch has changed the game in such a way where different tracks have different features, and different tracks have different needs in terms of setup. So this current setup works on 90% of the tracks in the game. It does work on those tracks too that gives problems, but most of those tracks that give problems, you will not get the best results at those tracks that you'll get on the other tracks with this setup. Alright, so a track like the Spa where overtaking is kind of crazy, though this setup still works great at the Spa, it's going to be a bit difficult to get the overtakes if you're not on the right compound tires. Right, if you're on the right compound tires, then you can pick the spots in the corners of the track to try and get some overtake. Like here, you could boost your drivers here to try and get him to overtake there. If you didn't succeed, come back down, you boost back up again on this corner to try and get the overtake there. Right, so you have to use the corners on a track like the Spa, the slow corners. These fast corners, no worries. These slow corners are the corners you're going to want to boost in, so your drivers can get the overtakes here at the Spa. Right, these fast corners, this is a nice overtaking corner as well. These fast corners around here rarely get any overtakes. You could get overtakes on that one, but going down here, rarely you're going to get any overtake. You still get overtakes on those corners, but rarely. All right, so there we go, finishing off the race nice and strong with a massive gap to the rival. He's way behind. All right, now so after I got that theory and I jumped on and I started to test, I test a few kind of setup. I test the balance setup that I normally would have used, overall balance setup, and I found the balance setup does work, but it's not the best. All right, we tested high corner, high reliability, high power setup, high fast pit time setup, and this setup turned out to be the best setup in the game at our level. So we have level 6 and level 5 drivers, not at max level any at all, and most of our parts are not at max level. So this setup turns out to be the best setup we found so far in the game. And what this setup is, it's 100% max cornering. Alright, so you neglect everything else, every other aspect, you neglect those. Power, speed, power unit, reliability, pit time, you don't care about those any at all. All you want to go for are the parts that give you the most cornering. Now these parts that I currently have on are the parts that gives me the most cornering. It doesn't matter if your rival has more team score or less team score or the same amount of team score. As long as your car has the highest amount of cornering, the maximum amount of cornering you can get, you're gonna outrun them 100% of the time on 95% of the tracks. I said 90 earlier on, but 95% of the tracks you're gonna outrun them. You do get a good run on Monza as well, though Monza is one of those tricky tracks. The Spa, one of those tricky tracks. You do still get a good run on these tracks with this setup. All right, so give it a try and let me know down in the comments what you think. I know a lot of you guys already have been using this setup. I've seen a couple people being posting it on Facebook all over, and I'm like, yeah, these guys have been using this setup. But yeah, this is the setup that I have been using over the past few weeks, and it has been dominating in the events for me personally. I've been scoring a lot better with this setup as a non-max player, and as you see, I have no parts at max, not even the commons I don't have at max level. Nothing at max level. I'm far away from max level, and I'm performing exceptionally well with this setup. Alright, so the season is about to end, so hopefully you guys enjoy this setup from now on going into the new season. as the game is going to restart at the new season, and we're going to get a brand new game with brand new assets, brand new drivers and stuff like that. But it is what it is. But yeah, there you go. Let me know down in the comments if you have been using this setup, or have you tried this setup before and how it turned out for you in your event. Just trust me, don't focus on anything else. 100% cornering, 100%. And when you go to the event, use the boosts with the best cornering and race start you could find. All right, so any boost that you have with the best cornering and race start, go for it. Even if you don't have the best race start boost, you have boosts with high cornering, add it to your drivers, make that cornering way more higher, and trust me, your drivers will perform 100%. All right, so that's basically all we have for you in this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Shout out Christopher Graves.
And they say if we'll only avoid any confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love.